All right, ready or not, here we are. This is Dissonant Waves. I'm Dominic. Riddlin and Tricks are here. This is episode 43, another 2020 episode. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. Who wants to introduce them?
I
We
forgot it was
got
a 2020
Osees,
episode.
Protean Threat. We've got Finn Wolfhard's shit, and we've got fucking the Ace
Tony
Swayze and the
Hawk Pro
Ghosts.
Skater.
This is why I
Swayze and the
this
Ghosts, whatever the fuck it was
this
called.
this is why I introduced them. I'm never gonna give you the opportunity again. Oh yeah,
It was Protean Threat by the Osees. It was Calpurnia's EP. It was The Aubreys, Soda and Pie, and Swayze and the Ghosts Paid Salvation. I forgot what the Calpurnia thing. I think it was called Scout, wasn't it?
yeah, Scout, and then just like the
There you
singles
go.
they put out also with that stuff if you wanted to, and there's all the other random shit that's involved with that too.
I want to start off with Finn Wolfhard, to be honest.
Sure, let's talk about Finn Wolfhard. He's still 17, and it's amazing how much he's been able to do as a teenager. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one's going to be a bit controversial or not for an opinion or not, but I kind of came to because I've given these albums a listen before, and then I gave them a couple listens in the past 2 weeks because we had a bit of an extended one, and this one instead of a week.
Mhm.
And I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but I prefer the Aubrey's EP to the Calpurnia
Interesting.
because
I'm the same way.
I was thinking about it. And I was trying to remember. I actually can't really remember the Calpurnia EP that much. It really came and went. Like it was just a bunch of teenagers making indie rock, which isn't
I am.
bad, but it's also not fantastic. Whilst at least with the Aubreys, it felt like they were actually doing something a bit different with it. Or at least the songwriting had actually improved enough. It still wasn't out of this world amazing, but the songs were a bit more catchier. I could kind of remember it. Yeah, there was less on there, but it looked like they took the time. Uh I mean, Loved One is kind of cheesy, but I actually don't hate it. Brother, I think is probably the highlight out of all of this. I think that's probably one of
Interesting.
the better tracks that they've done the songwriting for. I don't know too much about the lyric, but I'm just talking about the actual like tunes and stuff behind it.
I thought
I feel
I thought,
I feel like
okay.
it's an artist that like these two, especially since they have like these are the two members that have the true chemistry because they met back in the pup video, and then yeah, they've got these other members for Calpurnia, and it hasn't failed. But I reckon these are the two members that you were supposed to focus on anyway. And as their songwriting evolves, they might actually turn out to be even more interesting. They could just fade into nothing. That happens to a lot of bands, and especially celebrity music bands. Never forget Russell Crowe's band.
Or Johnny Depp's.
Well, the thing to think about is that Calpurnia dissolved because Finn Wolfhard was like, "Oh wait, I can't actually support a band that's like has a record label and needs to tour because I also act, and acting is
Yeah.
my thing." So Calpurnia kind of went away. He was also in the interview as I was reading. He was kind of like, "Yeah, with four people, it's hard to like make decisions on stuff," which
Mm.
maybe says something about his ability to manage a band at like 16, 17. But yeah, it just seemed a lot easier for him and Malcolm Craig to just do their shit on their own time and just like
Yeah.
record it when they can and just release it when they can.
I actually listened to City Boy when it came out. I remember this only because I remember looking at the fucking cool ass artwork on the single for City Boy, being like, "Oh yeah, I remember listening to this." I don't remember the song at all.
The only song I really remember from Scout is the last one, Waves.
I still can't really
Yeah.
remember it. Like I can remember listening to it, and you don't hate any of it, but then you just don't really remember it.
It's indie rock and at its peak, which is just like all right, and then you forget it.
Yeah, it's an all right EP to start out. I mean, like it's kind of like that thing where it's like we did the Adolescents, we did Beach Goons. You know, they're all kind of in that age range at that time. You kind of got varying qualities of ability at that age.
I mean, in Australia, we're a bit spoiled because we had Silverchair when they were only 14
Wow.
create like one of the biggest like albums of Australian history.
I just thought Waves was kind of cool because it has like the kind of like duet singing where like the feminine voice is kind of higher than the masculine voice. Like it's a little bit different from the other songs, which was nice.
Well, like going back to the one I was just on about there, like
Mhm.
it's a good EP for for people around their age. I mean, it's certainly better than anything we could fucking create.
Giving you some time, you probably could do something better.
I mean, given a lot of time, but
and also Stranger Things money.
Yeah, true that as well. But there have also been a lot of other artists who have been quite young when they've started out that's and perform stuff better. I mean, Calpurnia is not terrible, and it looked like they were kind of there for fun, but also there to be a band until, like as you said, Finn Wolfhard's like, well, actually can't really realistically do that.
Right.
I mean, you look at some of the other old bands and stuff like that, which have had actors in it. Like one of the biggest ones is the band Phantom Planet, which had a hit with the song California, and they had I believe they had Jason Schwartzman on the drums, who's
Interesting.
obviously appeared in a lot of shows and stuff. I think he was actually in the band when that song was around, but ended up leaving like a couple of years later to focus on acting.
Right.
And then he ended up forming his own solo project that he does in his spare time called Coconut Records.
And I mean, we've had Will Ferrell on drums with fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers since like their beginning.
Really?
Exactly. I'm joking about that. Just
you talking about fucking Flea?
A lot like fucking Will Ferrell.
The funny thing is that I was reading I guess Calpurnia, back when they were Calpurnia, was talking about how they felt connected to the Chicago indie scene, and that's partially because Joe Keery, who's also on Stranger Things, has an indie band in Chicago because that's where he's from, called Post Animal, where he's been involved with that.
Yeah, I've listened to a bit of. Didn't I send you like a download code to a Post Animal album?
I don't remember.
It's like
I remember.
I think I did because
maybe
I picked up the album for a CD and I ripped the CD just onto the computer, so I don't need the download code.
Right.
So I gave it to one of you two.
I
Yes.
don't think I got it, but it was probably Domino.
Yeah, he eventually dropped from the band for, I think, obvious reasons, but yeah. So they both were kind of in that boat of like, I'm in this band, I'm doing acting, and I chose acting. But Finn at least is trying, I think, to keep it going, because that's what he generally seems to enjoy.
I mean, I've amateurishly acted in a movie that got a fucking theatrical release. And
what?
Fuck yeah, I was an extra.
Oh right, yeah, I think you told this story
It
before.
hasn't released on DVD yet, I don't think, but it was shown at like a film festival.
What was it called again?
Clean, I think.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
So like, I'm kind of in that same boat, just like on a much lower level.
Fair enough. I mean,
yeah. So also looking at the just when Joe Keery left Post Animal. So yeah, the album which I picked up, which is When I Think of You in a Castle, seems to actually still have Joe Keery on it though.
Yeah, being fair, it's probably collections of stuff.
So it looked like he only actually left last year.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
so, he had some time with him.
Yeah, so it saw Keery contributing his guitar, like this is according to his Wikipedia page. So take it with as much credit as you want. But it said he contributed guitar as well as vocals to the album.
He also, in his early 20s, released music under the name Cool.
Cool.
Ah, boy, we have to cover that at some point. Not really.
Community was a good show. But I mean, you do have a lot of these actors and stuff like that who do try to go into music as well. I mean,
it makes sense in a way. It's kind of a backup plan.
Talking about Community, we got to mention Donald Glover.
Oh yeah, obviously. Well, I mean, he's one of the only ones to actually balance an acting career and a music career and be actually good at both and popular at both.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understood, Calpurnia was getting popular. Like, their music videos have a decent amount of views, like in the millions, I want to say.
Yeah, like as I said, I listened to Calpurnia without realizing it was Finn Wolfhard's band.
I mean, as much as you probably listened to it without realizing that. I mean, there would have been some popularity gained from that because Finn Wolfhard. I mean, this was still coming out as Stranger Things is still in its peak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why some of the old pop videos for Sleep in the Heat and Guilt Trip ended up getting popular. Because, well, I mean, Sleep in the Heat came out after Stranger Things was a thing, so like they got it back, but Guilt Trip rose up because everyone finally realized that Finn Wolfhard was in it. So
Yeah, that was an interesting video to watch where he plays like a tough, like a
he plays like a bully, and then he accidentally shoots a police officer in the struggle, and then he starts singing. And
yeah.
thank you.
And that's how the band gets together.
Yeah,
He did,
it was an interesting. I mean, I was lucky enough to have because I was on the other way around. I think I watched the Guilt Trip video before I ever watched Stranger Things.
Interesting.
I still haven't watched Stranger Things.
I have watched scenes of Stranger Things. I think I've seen a little bit, but I've seen the It movies, and I've seen those.
I have not seen those either.
It 1 is okay. It's fine.
Oh, that was also because
movies, if I'm going to be honest.
Oh, I also saw The Turning. That was the other thing that I saw with him in, which was kind of important because that's what led me to learning he had a band. Because the Aubreys' first single, Getting Better Otherwise, was part of the Turning soundtrack.
Yeah, I definitely heard the Aubreys before I heard Calpurnia though.
Really? Interesting.
Yes, because I actually only heard the Aubrey when they came out this year, and then I heard Calpurnia it's previous stuff Calpurnia. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give that a listen. Nah, I mean the Aubrey still doesn't hit me quite well enough for me to really care.
No,
but
there's potential.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's one of those acts that you would that you would follow and you would wait for. I mean, it's like with the next one of the next acts we're covering today with Swayze. I mean, that's a band that I discovered like 2018, 2019, and they've been around since like 2017 during a couple of EPs and stuff, and they weren't out of this world then. I'm not going to go and say that I listened to their early stuff and said, wow, I'm so excited for the album and stuff, but there was something that I still understood, and it's like, well, now they've actually got the album out and I've actually kind of enjoyed it. So
yeah,
it's this kind of things like they release albums, they're surprisingly good, and they're acts that you keep under your radar even if they're not out of this world. Like I wouldn't go recommending the Aubreys to anyone right now. I don't think they have any music right now that'll go, you have to listen to this. This is incredible. It's neither unique enough to be interesting, nor is it executed well enough to be one of the kings of the genre.
Well, no.
I mean, you don't expect that on an EP like this.
I don't even think that's what they're trying to do.
This ain't like Middle East where all their early stuff is fucking godlike. This is two young teenagers.
Yeah, they're just.
Well, I mean, 17, I guess, or something. Youngest of teenagers, but the point still stands.
Yeah, they're just trying to have fun and to make music together at this point. Like it's like a side project. Like it's great that he has like the Stranger Things money to kind of get out there and like have it do something, but it's fine. Like it's nice. I don't have any like objections to it being there. I think it's kind of interesting seeing Finn Wolfhard's voice evolve because stuff like City Boy was back 2018 when he was like 15 years old or whatever. So that's kind of cool, and seeing how the voice evolves and gets deeper and he tries more things with it.
Yeah.
Was it the first? I think it's like the first track on Scout, Louis, where he has kind of like a Bob Dylan-y thing going on. And then you get the stuff like Afraid to Drink and Smoke Bomb and stuff, and it's like, okay, we've clearly seen like an evolution of sorts.
I mean, we'll probably see this band in 3 years probably put out something, and it might not be the greatest album of all time, but it'll be one of those like highlights of the year album. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing that. But
yeah, like
it's probably
album.
It's a band to keep under your radar, especially since they're treating this as more of a hobby than they are a career thing.
Right. It's like It's like if we had a professional podcast and then we were all just like, fuck it, we're gonna make Dissonant Waves instead. We just went right to Dissonant Waves.
Trix is now back.
Oh.
Yeah, I like crashed for a minute, sorry.
That's alright.
I am intrigued by their obsession with Weezer.
I mean, teenage Weezer. That's all you need to know.
It makes a lot of sense. One of the first
no question
on bass was Sad Ain't So.
I mean, sure. I think their cover of Say It Ain't So wasn't bad either. It's just a cover, but like
I think I might prefer it to
Pinkerton.
the original, if I'm going to be honest.
you
I'm
prefer
not
it to the original.
a big
Interesting.
fan of the original.
It made me realize how much.
Pinkerton is the better Weezer album, and I will stand by that.
I have not listened to a full Weezer album.
Neither have I, but I've heard the Pinkerton debate before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've listened to quite a couple Weezer albums in full. I listened to Weezer a lot as a kid. Fucking fight me.
Well, you've got
and-
the Weezer T-shirt.
Hell yeah, baby. It's the greatest T-shirt I own, and I mean, a lot of people really only talk about the first two albums when it comes to the
Right.
best albums. Yeah, they've had some other ones that are noticeable, but like, it's because those two albums are some of the best like indie rock albums of all time.
Like I appreciate their cover of Take on Me. Like it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the Teal album, that cover album was just a fun thing that they did. It wasn't really anything else.
But Rivers still
I'm gonna
surprisingly
say
sounds
this might be-
teenagery, which I am intrigued by.
This might be kind of controversial, but I've never heard a not Say It Ain't So, Take on Me cover that I've liked as much as the original.
Have you heard Captain Jazz's cover?
I have not.
I'll link you to Captain Jazz's cover.
I will listen to it after the episode because
Yep.
it cuts my bit rate whenever I'm on Discord.
Yeah, no. This one's a Midwest emo kind of like early 90s version by some people who were just jamming in a garage.
That sounds right.
This was it was the members of this band ended up forming like American Football and Promise Ring and stuff like that.
I mean, so they basically just did the thing that they did in the Take On Me music video with Calpurnia. And just, we're going to play the song in our house because my mom is gone, and now let's play the song. Well,
Hey guys, parents aren't home. It's time for the Aha cover. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really play bass in my house with my amp on unless my parents are out of the house. So I understand.
I just like the idea of Rivers Cuomo in his bedroom dreaming of an Aha cover.
Well, didn't the whole thing start because they kept getting treated to cover Africa?
I think so. And then they actually
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, then they did it, and like the single art for that was a treat of cover to Africa by Toto, and then they actually did a covers album to coincide with the release of their next proper album, the Black Album, which the covers album ended up being better than the Black Album.
For a moment, can we just have an aside and talk about some of the shitty fucking album art that Weezer has?
Yeah, Ratitude's one is fucking shit.
I'm not familiar. Can someone link?
Yeah, that's the one with the dog.
I don't mind Hurley just because of just how stupid it kind of is. Just to have an album called Hurley and then just a picture of Hurley from Lost.
Oh, that Ratitude cover is amazing. Oh my god.
But yeah, Black Album art is shit. Red Album art, I would say, is shit. I hate Pacific Daydream as well. That one's fucking terrible. Do not mind White Album. Do not mind Blue Album. Love Pinkerton. Green Album's fine.
What are these albums? What the fuck what are these albums?
Everything will be alright in the end. It's also a fine album art, and I'll debate you if you try to tell me otherwise.
Well, we still have.
Well, it's kind of goofy, but I can vibe with it.
Death to False Metal, their B-sides compilation, you can say has a shit album art, and I won't fight you, but everything will be alright in the end.
Have you seen the Van Weezer cover art though?
Yeah, that one's kind of shit.
It's been pushed to 2021. I think we mentioned it in our like looking forward to 2020.
Yeah. Because I think they want to actually tour it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's supposed to be it's supposed to be an album, pretty much arena rock song. So of course they'll want to fucking tour it.
God, it's so weird to think of Weezer trying to do that now. From what I know of Weezer, at least.
I mean, I still the reason I like Pinkerton a lot is it's just because it's so. It's definitely, especially of all their early stuff, it's their most unique album.
Yeah.
I understand a lot of the people who hate some of the lyrical content, like him talking about 18-year-old Japanese girls.
Ah.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy in Pinkerton.
But yeah, I mean, there's a certain context to the album which makes it a little less creepy.
Oh, Rivers Cuomo went to Harvard. Wow.
Yeah. Rivers
Have you
Cuomo is
heard
a
that?
well-educated man.
Rivers Homo. Have you heard the theory that he's a Kurt Cobain? Yeah, that shitty
Yeah.
that theory.
He's Kurt Cobain?
Yeah, there's a theory going around because apparently Weezer and Nirvana never shared a concert day.
Why?
Isn't that
A
also
con-
doesn't that help that Weezer didn't even put out their first album until after Kurt Cobain died?
Yeah.
So, but like, I think they were still like jamming after. I don't know. I don't remember the whole thing. I remember reading something about it and thinking like, oh, this is stupid.
I mean, I just want to say that the Aubreys and Nirvana have never shared a stage.
Neither has Pete League.
Oh,
You know,
fuck.
Calpurnia and The Aubreys have never shared a stage.
Oh.
Wonder if there's something there.
Oh.
Funnily enough, Tim Comerford's band and Rage Against the Machine have. What is Tim?
Anyway, have we got anything else more to say about the Aubreys Calpurnia, or are we
I think it's interesting to talk about celebrities trying to do bands. I think this was a good attempt at trying to do that. I think it's one of the more interesting things, I think. A, because he's so young, and B, because he's had so much hype behind him, I think, compared to like a Dog Star kind of thing.
Yeah. Dogstar. That's always a band I forget about.
And
I
Soda,
think
Soda and Pie is a 2020 EP, so that's how I fit it
Yeah.
into this episode.
yeah,
I remember you. I was looking through because I was trying to remember what day I broke up with my ex for reasons, and you mentioned it that day for some reason.
I guess that's how long I've been planning it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon my favorite out of the whole thing is probably Brother. I reckon that's one that I might try and put into rotation towards this end of the year, especially since when December comes, gonna try and do the whole top 100 songs of the year shit again and all that. I'm trying to get as much in rotation to consider as possible.
Here's the question, though. I have a question for you. They released some demos of these songs last November on Bandcamp.
No, it doesn't matter. The official release of this is 2020, and that's what I count.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Demos I count for when they get officially for when they get released. This is a full re-recording, so
Yes.
it's a 2020 release for what I consider.
Okay. Just
Plus,
curious what
it's
your
my
line
top.
was.
It's my top 100. My rules.
We just
My
talked.
mental breakdown. I get to choose the music.
The other week we mentioned that the discussion of like, well, it came out on November 29th, so I don't know if I can include
Yeah,
it or
I know.
not.
Yeah, but that was not a re-recording because that was just a single.
That's
off,
true.
Off that, that's a different thing. I know it's a weird ruling, but still, anyway. And Bravo is yeah, I reckon that's probably my favorite, and I couldn't really give you a least favorite because I can't really remember the Calpurnia ones that much. Yeah, that's kind of my position on this. But I mean, yeah, Soda and Pie is a better EP.
Yeah. Afraid to Drink, I kind of vibed with. I can't pick a least favorite because there's not enough to really pick from.
I think I have to agree. I don't know. I think like the second time in a row that my mind changed on the fly. Like I thought maybe Scout was the better EP. Just like I thought Dookie was the better album. And then now it's like, oh, Insomniac's actually the better album and Soda and Pie might be the better EP. I don't know. Like looking at it, there are more songs on Scout, but the songs I don't like on Scout, that's like half of the thing. And the other songs are like okay. The only song that I think on Scout is actually interesting in its own way and like goes beyond just being a song as Waves because of the experimentation that they have going on. It's also a lot longer, so it's kind of a mixed bag. But like songs like Blame are kind of bland, and then like City Boy and Greyhound are kind of just meh because they're kind of like underwritten because they're written by like 15-year-olds. Like City Boy in particular is just like
saying
God.
Silverchair put out one of the biggest albums in Australian history at the age of 14.
And
Age is just a number.
And Christopher Paolini wrote Aragon at like 16 or whatever. I understand.
Yeah, Yeah, but you got to remember Australia. 14 in Australia is like 21 in America.
Well, it's also from Newcastle, and there's nothing else to do but write music.
How old was Christopher Paolini when he actually wrote Aragon? Oh God,
I'm
he
looking
he,
this up right now.
he was like 19 when it
Anyway.
was published. But either way,
Let's move on. Which one do we want to cover?
I was gonna say Afraid to Drink on Soda and Pie
is
is interesting, and that might be the better of the songs. And like I think Soda and Pie, despite being more lo-fi and kind of basic, has a better starting point. A, because they're not adhering to like a label's demands, and B, because they already have the Calpurnia stuff to kind of leap off of and go on with. So, Waves, Afraid to Drink on the plus side, half of Scout on the negative side.
What are we gonna cover next? What do we choose? What do we choose? Please, I'm asking you. I'm begging you.
Let's do the Osees.
We're doing the Osees now.
Our second go with the Osees.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
how do you like how they've turned into just pure goblin music?
It's great.
So, I don't like this as much as the Carrion, the Dream EP.
See, I'm the opposite.
I like if you told me, do I like the songs individually? Yeah, but there's just way too much going on at times. Like this isn't really an album. It feels more like a compilation.
It reminds me of King Gizzard meets Health.
Yeah. Well, there were moments at the start where I go like, "Oh, this sounds like fucking Lightning Bolt," and then there was, I think it was what song was it? I literally messaged it in chat. Yeah, Gong of Catastrophe. It felt like a slower Open Water from Flying My Eternal Banana.
Like Scramble Suit 2 is basically just like a health song. Like just turn on that first album of theirs again. It's just as noisy.
Modern King Crimson.
But then you get the stuff like Gong of Catastrophe that's like super slow and like kind of groovy and nice. And it's a really weird mix that I kind of like. And like I kind of agree in that I think it's like an album of experience. Like I don't know if I could like talk about the individual songs at the moment. Like some of them
doesn't feel like
some of them
it
stand
doesn't feel
out.
like Big Scary's Animal, in which Animal felt like Animal is one of those ones that goes through so many different genre changes and stuff, but yet it feels so naturally how it does it.
Yeah, it feels
Whilst
intentional.
in this one it feels so it feels disjointed at times. Like it feels weird to have a song like Scramble Suit like to open, and then pretty soon after you get a lot of slower moments or moments that just felt so completely different. Like it didn't naturally get to this pace. You go back to the Big Scary and you realize it starts off kind of loud and funky, but then it gradually will get kind of softer and get to some of those soft songs naturally instead of just
Right.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, I will say something like Wing Run into Seb the Shovel into Mismet is just like whiplash, because you got Wing Run, which is just all ascending synths and like real fast, and you got Seb the Shovel, which is like more like a slow kind of like creepy jam, and then Mismet, which is just goblin music.
Well, I haven't really picked a number one this week yet, because I think there's some flaws that appear on the Osees that don't appear on Swayze, and then there's you talk about the quality of the songs here, then Osees wins. Like I think each one of the songs, if you took them individually, are pretty well written. Like a lot of Osee songs are. I as much as I found a lot of this sudden changes to be quite disjointing, I didn't find myself hating any song.
No.
Even like Gong Catastrophe is probably my lowest, my least favorite, just because it sounded a bit too much like Open Water, and it's like, well, I may as well just go back to Open Water.
The thing I want to say about
I like that song a lot more, but that's the song. If I didn't have that context of it, I'd probably like it a bit more.
the thing about this album specifically that is interesting to me is that the first time I listened to Protean Threat about 2 weeks ago, I absolutely fucking hated it. I did not like it. Like I thought it was.
Yeah, you had Paid Salvation as your number one to start off this, if I recall correctly.
I did. It was like Paid Salvation and Calpurnia, and that completely changed now.
Yeah, I think Calpurnia is probably all of our last, to be honest here.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really came around on Protean Threat after I gave it some time, but did not listen to it when I was in a rush and like took my time with it. And I really dug it more than Carry Crawler because I think Carry Crawler had too many just like longer songs that were trying to do too many things, and this is just a bunch of scrambling noise that I really dig. You know.
I mean, I love some classic noise rock. Noise rock, when it's done well, it can sound disjointed to some, but it's actually quite a technical and skillful genre to pull off.
Right.
And I reckon when they've tried the noise rock here, they've done it. They've done it fine. I will say though, if I'm correct, the Dream / Carrion Crawler was a longer album, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I will
If I-
check right now.
It's like about an hour long. Technically, they call it an EP.
I think it's like 45 minutes or something like that. But
Protean Threat is 38 minutes.
yeah, Protean Threat is the shorter of the two, I believe. But yet,
Yeah.
it can't, because of how disjointed it felt, it kind of felt longer.
I would say that also.
Which is,
Eh.
yeah, it's not like, it's a weird criticism to go like and just say, oh, because I felt this is why I dock at points and stuff like that. Because again, that's just a weird criticism for me, and I try not to do that. But it did feel longer to get through this because it just felt like a compilation rather than an album. Like the flow kept breaking, it kept breaking so many times that it kind of just like, you know, when you kind of just get into an album and you kind of just get into the zone and it just kind
Right.
of just passes by. Yeah, it couldn't happen with this album because it kind of just kept breaking the flow out of it, and I kind of just kept going back. Oh, now we're at a different point. Yeah, it's
See,
just still on.
see, for me, I actually had the thing where it became so disjointed that itself became kind of the flow of the album, and so it ended up flowing very well for me because it's just like we're taking this twist, this turn. It's all kind of flowing in the way it wants, and I just kind of sat back and just let it be.
I'm looking to see how many times I gave this album a listen. I think I gave this album a listen a total of like 4 or 5 times. So I gave it a pretty good chance here. And again, I like it, but it's those small little things that just stop it from being better.
Carry On Crawler, The Dream is 40 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah.
It's only 2 minutes longer than that.
In my mind, it's like an hour long. This feels a lot shorter.
Yep. So I gave this album around 3 listens in total. So maybe if I give it more listens and stuff like that, maybe some of these little complaints I have go away. I will say though, I do really love the opening. I am a sucker for good noise rock, and that song just hit that spot really well.
Wait until we do Orc.
Yeah, I've heard that album's great.
Yeah, Orc is fucking.
The thing I really appreciated about this album in particular was the basses. When the basses were there were nice, but the drums especially were really just amazing. I thought.
Well, they got 2 drummers, so they
Right.
better be.
So it definitely stands out. Like
did they take the drummer from King Gizzard?
no, but they stole the idea.
Rip second drummer. Rip
That would
second
be the
drummer.
ultimate flex. That would be the ultimate fucking flex.
But at the same time,
Get a third one.
At the same time, though, you have like the chiptune stuff like Wing Run and like the kind of more mellowy, jazzy Set the Shovel and Gonga Catastrophe that like they have cool riffs. You know, they have more grooviness to them, and I appreciate like you said the individual parts. I very much appreciate it, and to me that I guess is enough to appreciate the whole, even if I can't like tell you the whole. Kind of like I could tell you about like Big Scary's Animal. Like that is a very much like a neat and proper like short story collection, where this is like somebody threw a bunch of stuff into a blender and hit blend, but in a good way, not like the blender that we usually say.
Look, I reckon if they said they released this album, I don't know if they have or not, but if they say, all right, here's a bunch of songs that we recorded and properly did, but couldn't fit into any of our previous albums, I would absolutely believe it. Yeah, I was gonna say I'd absolutely believe it.
In 2 weeks.
I can't wait to see how disjointed that gets.
Yeah, their next albums are still coming out. This is a trilogy. They just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
They're having 3 fucking albums this year.
I mean, King Gizzard is just releasing all their live shows as albums now. I think they're up to literally 5 live albums, including Chunky.
And that's just in 2020, baby.
Yeah.
And this isn't even mentioning the other stuff that Dwyer has done this year. He also put out a solo album under the Terminal Bug name, or Damaged Bug, I think it is.
Yeah, Damaged Bug, I think.
So he's putting out a shit ton of music.
Points to Terminal Jape for being a Tony Hawk kind of song that I would have liked to have seen on the soundtrack.
It's a little too heavy for Tony Hawk, but yeah, I could see shredding along to that.
Yeah. And they had some interesting stuff on the other soundtracks. I think that this might have fit alongside.
Including the song that's on the next album.
I mean, you have songs like, you know, something from like Delva Funky Homo Sapien versus like, you know, some of the other stuff in like 3 and stuff like that. That's just kind of like off the walls and weird.
The Circle Jerks was on Thaw.
I'm not surprised.
What a band name.
I'm sure they had the
idea
Butthole
of
Surfers somewhere. Oh, me.
Yeah, I mean Butthole Surfers isn't like as bad as the Circle Jerks though. In terms of Nintendo used fucking Pepper on an ad. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
mean-
love the fact that Butthole Surfers had a hit. It's the funniest shit.
I mean, not to
Like
mention,
it wasn't just a small song. It was an actual fucking hit.
not to mention that one of the songs that defines Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine.
Don't stop, Gorilla Radio.
So I mean,
Sorry, we can't swear. This is a kid-friendly podcast.
turn that shit up.
Fuck that.
But if they got Guerrilla Radio jamming, like I think they could do with Terminal Jape.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Protean Threat much more than I thought. I was very surprised of my come around on that.
When you come around.
My dream girl
I
don't
think-
exist because I'm gay.
Even though I have my complaints about the album, I still don't know if I got it on as number 1. It's definitely not my number 1 Osees that we covered, despite the fact that we've only covered as little Osees as we have. But still, there's still a lot of interesting songwriting on here. I mean, it beats the Aubreys and Calpurnia by far.
Well, yeah.
Just without a question on that. I don't think this is something that I really have any song that I'll keep on. Like I know it's weird, even though I said this is better than the Aubreys, and I tried to say with the Aubreys I'd have a song that I'd try to keep in heavy rotation, something like that. There isn't really any song off here that I would consider. And
music.
yeah, maybe it'll be something off one of the other albums they release in the next 5 in the next 2 days or whatever they're doing, and there might be some songs I put into rotation from there. I think this is just something that I consider, like, if someone asks, like, do I recommend listening to this album? I'm going, yeah, there's probably going to be some stuff that you would like off this album, but I don't think there's any heavy highlight material like there was of the Dream Carrion Caller EP, blah blah blah, whatever they want to call it. I mean, I don't think this will go down as one of the best albums in the Osees discography. I think it's just going to be one of those albums that is there. It could be considered criminally underrated for all we care, but this is one that it's just kind of got to be there for me, and I'm kind of going to enjoy listening to it. But that's really it.
I can see
the Osees subreddit. It seems to be doing quite favorably. I will say that.
Okay, but that's you go into the King Gizzard subreddit and they call Murder of the Universe one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, true. But you have to realize the King Gizzard subreddit is mostly going to be like 17-year-olds and younger, whereas the OC subreddit is going to be more people like our age and older.
I could see myself digging into Protean Threat. Like, I would probably buy this over Carrion Crawler the Dream. Just kind of sit with it and try to understand more of it.
If I see the CD in like a secondhand shop or something, I'm picking this up straight away. Don't get me wrong about that.
Like, I would probably listen to it as an album experience until I could pick apart which songs I'd want to listen to specifically on their own. And when I guess probably Scramble Suit 2 would be one of them, but maybe Terminal Jape instead of the Shovel, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, I like this a lot. The path for me to become a fan of the Osees was a lot shorter than the path for me to become a fan of King Gizzard.
It also helps that you had I listened to King Gizzard a lot before Osees because we had covered 2 albums before we covered 1 Osees. So then, like, you already had that going in, and they're very similar style. So you getting into King Gizzard is also the same as getting into the Osees.
Yeah, but there's probably gonna be times I'm solo
You
on the
could
outside.
call the Osees better. Like, that's just obviously.
I don't know if I could do that. Yeah,
It's obviously all opinion based on what you think is better.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of
I think
people who
since-
consider King Gizzard to be the kings of it, and there are a lot of people who consider Osees to be the kings of this. But
I think Slift also helped him a bit too.
yeah, I forgot we did 2 Slift as well.
Slift was my gateway, I think, into actually coming around on this stuff, and I'm slowly kind of like figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, because I remember how pissed off I was is that you didn't like King Gizzard, but you liked French King Gizzard.
Yeah. And now we come around to I didn't really like Uman as much as I liked the other one that we did. And now I've come around to the King Gizzards and the Osees.
I like Umon still a lot. I think that's one of the better 2020 albums we've done this year.
Yeah,
The Planet Explorer was cool.
Anyway, yeah, my favorite is the opening track. Forgot what it's called. Let me check again. Yeah, Scramble Suit 2. That was one that really just kicked noise rock itch that apparently I had. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
gonna
Gonga
that we'll
Catastrophe.
see, I'm gonna guarantee that we see Panther Suit 1 on another record because they fucking did that with on weird entrances and odd entrances, exits and odd entrances, where they put part 1 on the main or part 2 on the main album, then part 1 on the B sides.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so favorite is Scramble Suit 2, least favorite is Gonga Catastrophe.
Favorites are Scramble Suit 2 and Gong of Catastrophe. Least favorites, I don't know, like Upbeat Ritual or something. Red Study, the ones I don't remember as much.
I gotta pull up the thing to find the least favorite. My favorite is probably Terminal Jape. That song is just a fucking banger.
It is.
It's peak Goblin music, which is just gotta love Goblin.
You talking about Goblin the band?
No, it's just like sounds like Goblin. Like you'd like have like fictional goblins putting it together.
Fair enough.
Maybe least favorite probably like Canoper 74 because I don't remember that one as much.
I remember liking that one. I don't know. I don't remember as much, but I remember liking it.
But yeah,
All right.
good tunes.
And now to finish off with this, we are going to Tasmanian. I guess we'll just call them punk, but that's kind of pub rock. There's a bit of post-punk, I guess, in it as well. Depends what you want to call it. It's a band's debut, Swayze and the Ghosts, Paid Salvation. This was kind of a surprise that I ended up enjoying this enough in first listen to pick it. I kind of listened to it, like, obviously, them being in Tony Hawk was a big reason why I'd give the album a full listen. Otherwise, I probably just would have had the singles up and kind of left it there. But yeah, album came out. It was a surprisingly solid album for the genre here, and
a solid debut.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best pub rock debuts I've heard in the past 10 years. Although, again, not the highest of bars. Sorry, so watching sports at the moment, and stuff happens. That's when I go silent. And despite some really pretentious lyrics at times, there was actually some good songwriting here, some really catchy moments, and I came out of this album really enjoying it. So, yeah, good on Swayze for making a good debut.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid debut. My question to you right away, though, is it better or worse than the Weekend Run Club debut?
I think I prefer Weekend Run Club, I'll be honest.
I agree. But it's pretty solid still.
I mean, we can all agree that despite the fun mention of Pornhub in it. Connect to Consume's like the most pretentious song on here.
I actually really like
Phones
Connecting
are
Soon.
bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Phones are bad.
I
Phones are bad.
I really dislike that messaging because it's so tired, and B, it makes them sound like boomers.
Yeah.
But also the line, "I'm sorry, Roger Daltrey, but fuck my generation," is also very good.
That's a great line. But yeah, I don't understand why the whole phones are bad mentality. Yeah, too much social media can be bad, but as a whole, the information age has just been fucking phenomenal for the human race. Like, we wouldn't be here doing this podcast right now if it wasn't.
They literally mentioned Pinterest. And it's like, oh.
And
I'm so addicted to pinning images on my board.
and Insta.
I'm addicted to SoundCloud.
Yeah, all this internet shit's bad, man. We benefit from it, but it's bad. You know, we have all of our music on SoundCloud and Spotify, but fuck it, man.
You can say Facebook is bad, yeah, Insta is bad, whatever. Tumblr hasn't been so bad. Pornhub, you can say porn addiction is bad. There's no problem with saying that. YouTube, I mean, YouTube's got this problem. Pinterest, that's pretty much just image hosting. Flickr, I think that's more just image hosting. Google, bitch, I use that to search up the lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Quora. Fucking, I can't stop asking questions.
Oh, I'm legit though. I'm addicted to Quora. Just reading some of the stupidest fucking questions ever. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, they definitely have like a huge go at the media in this song, and I think that's I think they're trying to intend to come off a bit more against the media than they are anti-phone, but it still comes off a bit pretentious.
And that was the song they picked for Tony Hawk, of all songs.
Well, it's the first single off this album. It's literally
Fair.
the lead single.
That's
There's
fair.
like no album yet, so like
You know this whole album reminds me of or like the song it reminds me of the Whitest Kids You Know sketch. Band. This label is run by homos.
I haven't seen that sketch.
I have not either.
I'll post it in Discord later. But basically, what it is they signed this hot new band that sounds like the Beatles meets Arcade Fire with a hip hop twist. And I gotta remember this was like early 2000s when this was recorded, so that was all popular shit. But the whole joke is that they're at a board meeting and they're reading off the song titles, and it's like this is just an elaborate way for all the label heads to come out, that sort of thing. That's what the song titles are named.
That's early 2000s humor.
Yeah.
The classic mid 2000s.
I was intrigued because I don't think Swayze is just influenced by like punk and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of
there
King
was
Gizzard.
a bit of post-punk. I swear I was hearing in this.
I was also hearing more King Gizzard and like Osees at points as well.
Although that could have just been you listening to the Osees again.
It's Not Alright reminded me of Evil Death Roll.
It's not. I completely disagree. The opener actually was one of the moments that kind of more reminded me of Joy Division.
I'm not listening to a lot of Joy Division, so I can't really comment on that.
Like it almost had it had like a bit of a Love Will Tear Us Apart vibe to it.
Okay.
With some of the guitar in it.
Love will tear us apart.
Obviously, like the chorus structure and the vocal structure is a bit different, but that's when the guitars came in. That's what it was kind of reminding me of. And it also, what else was the song doing? Trying to, I had to think about it in a bit. I'll let you two talk while I think about what song it was.
This album really didn't like. I could see myself like just listening to like a song if they're on, but like I don't think I'll ever go back and like listen to this album in full.
I might. I like the songs. I mean, I'm not like terribly enthused about going back, but it was a solid album.
Sonic's Youth Teenage Riot, that's what it was reminding me of.
Damn, alright. Go off, I guess.
I was thinking, yeah, I was trying to think what was it reminding me of, and I had to say it before I completely forgot.
I mean, I'm not like being awkward about that. More just I never expected a Sonic Youth reference for that.
Yeah, but like if you go back and to listen to the parts in Teenage Riot where it starts to pick off and the actual song kicks off, and then go back into where the guitar starts in, they're very similar, and that's where it seems like it's also been inspired from.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
I have not listened to much Sonic Youth.
I like a couple other songs.
But yeah, I mean, the opener is probably what got me convinced to actually stay for the album because it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's. I know I like putting openers. Apparently, it's my favorite song of the week this week, but it just is. This one's really good.
She don't wanna, she don't wanna, she don't wanna.
And I think you were the one who found out that the song was actually about people from Tasmania having to travel over to Sydney to get abortions.
Yes.
Yeah, which is fucked.
Yes, and so that's the other thing, is that they're very socially conscious, which I appreciate. That they're trying to be like, suddenly is like they're seeing from a woman's perspective and talking about inequality and injustice, and I dig all of that. But at times, like we talk about, it does come off a little pretentious, which is kind of like they go a little too far.
Yeah, I don't think they're intentionally pretentious. I think their songwriting, like their lyric writing, just isn't there yet.
Like,
so,
like
a lot of the stuff
right.
that they think is very more impactful than it actually is.
Like the stuff in It's Not Alright, and I think suddenly, it's pretty solid. Like they get the point across. Yeah. It's pretty. It's there. Not all the songs are there though. Like Connect to Consume, I'm gonna guess is probably an older song that they
came out
really
2019.
like.
Yeah, it's like it's a lead single for from a while.
So theoretically, it's an older song that they really liked and got a lot of airplay, and so that's kind of where they're trying to build from. The thing too about songs like Suddenly, that was written by Andrew Swayze's wife, co-written by. So they're trying to have more of an equal influence of male, female, whatever. Which not a lot of bands always do. So if they want it, so in a way they're kind of like putting their money where their mouth is a little bit. Not that she's actually in the band or anything, but we'll get a co-writing credit.
I reckon also the ending of this album it's pretty strong as well. I like Cancer and Evil Eyes. I think they're it's a good way to close out the record. Like as far as it comes to instrumentation writing in this album, it does it all well. Like this is nothing out of this world. I'm not going to put this album out as album of the year or anything. I don't think it's anywhere close. I don't think any of these albums any of the stuff we've done today is truly in contention for album of the year. But I do think there are still some highlights from this year, which is just as important. You can't have album of the year without having runner-ups.
Right.
And as far as debuts goes, this is very impressive because whilst I don't consider it up that high, for it to even still be considered a highlight and something I say, well, here's still the highlight from the year on a debut is always fantastic. A lot of artists can fuck up debuts. Chance the Rapper obviously fucking did it. And I reckon this is something that I'm going to be listening to songs of, like on my rotation at the end of the year. I guess we'll have to see in years' time if I'm still listening to stuff like It's Not Alright or Cancer. Or I actually like Mess of Me as well. I think that was one of the singles that they put out to lead out for this album. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I was actually wrong about what the oldest song off here was. Sorry, because Suddenly was actually released in 2018.
Oh, okay, interesting. So
yeah, I was just looking at that now, and I was wrong, so we correct that. Which is again, that's interesting, but again, it's not really one of the big songs that I consider from this album anyway. I like it, but I just like some other songs a bit more.
Trix, what do you have to say?
There's some good stuff on here. I'm not gonna put it as number one. I particularly like songs like I think it was Cancer that had like a bitchin' bass line in it. Again, Connect to Consume, just the lyrics on that, just like.
I think it's great for Tony Hawk's when you're not actually focusing on the lyric.
Yeah,
sure.
It's great for Tony Hawk's when you're not focusing on it, but when you're like trying to pay attention to the lyrics.
We should also say how good is it of them to just release the album like so close after Tony Hawk came out where they get that publicity?
That's good. That's a
And
good.
it's
It's
like-
good
What a
marketing.
timing!
That
What a
involves-
timing! Yeah. Although,
think-
I guess Machine Gun Kelly did it as well.
I think half of their songwriting can be summed up by the fact that their song is called Beaches, but you just know they mean bitches.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes that's a good way of putting it.
Welcome to Tasmania, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't cover much Tasmanian artists besides Luca Brasi.
Yeah, I was reading that. At least one article I was reading was calling Ace Swayze and the Ghosts the best thing to come out of Tasmania since Errol Flynn. It's like, I'm sure there's more going on there than that. That author just does not know what it is. I'm sure Luca Brasi is at least a blip somewhere there.
I mean, you'd think so when you're talking about Ace Swayze, but like apparently not. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's much to say about this album as there is with I mean, look, if the Aubreys didn't have Finn Wolfhard, I don't think we'd be talking about him as much.
No. I will say, compared to Protean Threat, this felt longer and felt like it had more songs, even though they've had about the same amount of songs and were about the same length.
Trix, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, Dominic
Protean
has
Threat.
completely cut out.
Oh, have I?
There you go. Dominic is back.
I'm curious how that'll be on recording. But I said, Paid Salvation feels A, longer, and B, like it has more songs. But Protean Threat is just about as long and has just about as much songs.
Protean Threat has one more song, yeah.
That's Riddle Gone.
He said Protean Threat has one more song.
There's Riddle back.
I just had a huge internet issue there. I apologize if that came out of my mic.
No, I don't think so. We'll see what happens with the recording.
Yeah. But as I was gonna say, like, yeah, the Ace Racy should feel longer because it is longer.
But not much.
I don't. The Ace Racy one was consistent enough to feel shorter. I mean, I don't think it had the same.
Paid Salvation is 1 minute longer than Protean Threat.
Yeah. I mean, let's say it doesn't have the same peaks, but I think It's Not Alright is probably my favorite song of the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just really like it. I know it's probably not going to be great if you two, but who cares? And it's still hard for me to say which one I prefer more, the Osees or Ace Swayze. I think technically the Osees one is more. It's more impressive, but it's also the Osees that we're used to, and we don't know the financial budgets for both of these, what they're both capable. We're also comparing debuts and stuff like that. There's a lot of things you can go into. I still like this album a lot. It's actually turned me because I heard of Ace Swayze back in like 2018 or something. I heard a single from them. Wasn't too big on them, but I kept it in here. And now this album's actually properly said, okay, I like this band. I like what they're doing now. This is something that I want to follow. Maybe they'll never put out an album that I'll consider album of the year or even top 10, but it's something that I always go like, oh yeah, I'll give this a listen. I'll see how it goes. And for me, that makes it a good debut.
Okay. Tricks?
Yeah. It's a great debut. Yeah, but it's more of a mixed bag than the other albums, I think. Other than like Calpurnia's Scout.
I will say that its biggest downfall when we've been saying the lyrics here is that we've been calling this pretentious and we didn't call the Osees pretentious. That is probably a big downfall for it.
All right, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics to Nismuth, and I want you to tell me how these are pretentious.
Oh boy.
Blasting a traitor, exterminator, buried dictator, he is a hater, an instigator, lies in a crater, the liquidator, death violator, a vindicator,
He's a hater.
Ventilator, sweet ventilator, cancer locator, and then that repeats.
That's great.
Stefan Stevens, die happy. The whole lyrics is, I want to die happy.
We'll get to Sufjan Stevens in a minute, eventually. What about your favorites and least favorites, Sharks?
Favorite, Cancer. Least favorite, fucking whatever.
Connect to consume or
Consume.
yeah.
All right, to mangle a line from Red Letter Media, Paid Salvation. It's good. I like it. But we've seen it before. And I think despite only being like 12 songs long, there's too many songs a bit. I feel like you could cut somewhere around the middle to toward the end.
I disagree. I don't think there's too many songs in here. I mean, you might say that, yeah, there are some songs on here that aren't a standout, but it's not like they completely just repeat itself.
No, not that. It's not terrible. Like, I don't think it. Like, I just think there's like, it just kind of hampers itself a little bit because some of the better songs I feel like a little bit clouded because there's all these other songs. Like, it's not that the songs are bad, but there's just so much going on that I don't know. It just does not completely come together for me that way. But I would say probably my favorites are something like, I don't know, like It's Not Alright or Suddenly. I like Connect to Consume despite the lyrics. I'll put that as a highlight. I think it's a fun song to jam out to and play Tony Hawk to, so I enjoy it for that.
Fair enough.
Least favorites, probably something like Paid Salvation or Rich. Something like that. I still try to figure out what Rich is about. Let's look up the lyrics to that.
Yeah, I think I have to agree that Rich is probably down there as well. It's not one of the big highlights, but I think Connect to Consume is probably saved by its instrumentation.
Yeah.
The lyrics are cringe, but its instrumentation, including of how the vocal deliveries go, aren't terrible, so it gets a pass from that. My favorite, though, is definitely It's Not Alright. I think it's such a great opener, and yeah, the rest of the album didn't hold up to the same quality that it did, but it never really happens on debuts anyway. It's definitely something I'm going to try and keep in rotation. I also like Mess of Me quite a bit, and Cancer. I think there's some highlights. Yeah, I might have to say Rich is probably the least favorite.
Unfortunately,
I hate off this.
There's
no
no
song I've hated this whole week. Actually, it's been a pretty good week, but there's also hasn't been like any song that I'd say this is song of the year or anything like that.
Unfortunately, the lyrics to Rich are not on Genius. We tried looking somewhere else, but
Now, I'm gonna have a feeling that we're all gonna have the same rankings here. So,
I doubt it.
Trix, you want to go do yours?
Yeah, I have a feeling mine are actually going to be kind of different. Number 4, I'm going to put down as Calpurnia, Scout.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm going to put as Swayze and the Ghosts. This album's called.
This is
Paid Salvation.
Definitely a big
Paid Salvation, because for some reason I cannot remember the title of that fucking album. Number 2.
I feel you on that actually.
Soda and Pie by The Aubreys. And number 1 is Protean Threat by Osees.
Alright, Dominic, are we going to have the same?
Probably. Calpurnia and The Aubreys or Soda and Pie are kind of at the bottom there for me. You could almost kind of interchange them. I might say for the brevity and for what there is there, The Aubreys might be better because Calpurnia has too many lower points, I think. That they're not bad, but they're just lower points. But I do think the highs on Calpurnia are also better, but overall, The Aubreys is the better EP, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So Calpurnia is 4, Aubreys 3, Swayze 2, Protean Threat's number 1.
Now, this is one of those rankings where I'm just going to confuse everybody with my words, but we all understand what I'm ranking them at. So, when it comes to when I actually do my 2020 rankings and like the full what's my favorite, I'll probably have Paid Salvation higher because I probably would have listened to it more. I think it's the album I'm going to go back to more, and it's a higher representation of the stuff that I'm listening to. But I reckon, I kind of have to be honest now and say that Protean Threat's probably deserving at the top spot here. So I'm going to give it to Protean Threat as number 1.
Yeah.
This is the first number 1 I've had since Tycho.
it's like the thing for me where I think To Pimp a Butterfly is the better album, but In the Aeroplane Over the Sea is going to be among my favorite albums of all time, no matter what.
Yeah.
So
So with that, I
Here's
disagree with Soda and Pie being higher than Paid Salvation, but that's tricks for you.
3 songs versus 14 or whatever it is. 12.
12. Yeah. I mean, I reckon you're more likely to go back to Swayze than you are to The Aubreys EP. Just even if it's just one song, but
I mean, to be
Time will
fair,
tell.
to be fair,
Time is really the
Soda
only
and
thing.
Pie is her jam, kind of.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Look,
It's
are
lo-fi.
we saying our albums for next week now?
I was gonna challenge you to see if you could figure out a song to recommend. If you could pick one song for everyone to listen to, because you mentioned it earlier.
Terminal Jape. What?
Yeah, like I already said. Yeah, my favorite song out of this whole week. It's Not Alright.
All right, fair enough. I would like people to listen to Waves off of Calpurnia. Not because it's like amazing, but I think it's interesting and worth listening to more, especially compared to the rest of the album. If they had experimented more, I would have liked to have seen where that gone, but now we have the Aubreys, and now I have to live with that. Okay. Now that brings us to next week. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I will. So we're talking about whatever is Trix's jam. This one I think I was teasing for a while, but never decided. But then I kind of decided during the middle of the day, like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just pick this because we get to pick whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finally gonna pick Donny Benet's Mr. Experience because I'm deciding I'm gonna start going some 2020 stuff that I might not think is the highlights of the year, but definitely some fun things to just go through as we wind down towards the year.
I'm down with this. I love this.
This will be an interesting week already. I can tell we've got. I already know what Dominic's pick is, and I'll go next. I'm doing an '80s style punk rock outfit called Liquids, and their 2018 album Hot Licks Revenge.
Hot Licks Revenge. You cut out there.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm already looking at this, and all the songs are like 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's 20 songs on it, and they're all short as fuck.
And it goes for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I have the vinyl.
Nice.
Keeping with the brevity, I've decided to pull a Trix, where at the beginning of the year, she picked a Dove Montreal album after I picked one. Dove Montreal was my pick, and blah, 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 blah. So now I'm going to pick a Petite League album. We're going to do Slugger.
What a shock,
Alright.
everybody. We have a tryst. It's a tryst. Everybody act shocked. It's a tryst. It's a tryst.
The real twist is that the record label for the Liquids has Neck Chop. They have Hot Licks Revenge on their Bandcamp, and it's for $1,000 because they want you to support the Liquids individual Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Pays $1,000 instead. Smart move.
Well, I mean, I have the code for the Bandcamp, so I can actually get that record.
So we're doing a repeat of Petite League. We're doing Slugger, and they got the Liquids, and then we got Donny Benet, Mr. Benet himself.
Yeah, there was one other album I was thinking of picking, and I'll just spoil it because I'm just not going to pick it. But Neil Ciccieri, how I pronounce his name, put out his mashup album the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it's Mouth Dreams. It's a new one, and
Sequel to Mouth Mood.
yeah, it's not as good as Mouth Moods, but I was tempted. But no, I've decided we're gonna finally go with Mr. Donny Benet. It's just sexual energy without being like a sexual predator.
I mean, I think he likes kind of having that little bit of that creepy vibe, but I think he's
He's just a bass player.
I gotta say, fucking Bustin' by Neil Cicierega. Fucking love that tune.
It's fucking great. Anyway,
I already love Second Dinner, so we're gonna have a lot of fun here.
Until next week, I have been redone. You can catch me at my website, redone4kids.github.io. I'm finally updating my game engine and shit and other stuff. So hopefully I can have a project done in like I don't know, 2 years. We'll figure it out later. I'll probably post it on my YouTube channel first, which you can see in the description below. I don't know if I actually will or not, but it's nice to pretend that I will do stuff like that.
I've been Trix. You can catch me at procrastinaut_ on Twitter. That's like procrastinating astronaut. So I have a YouTube channel where I do bass stuff. I'm putting a video up soonish because I finally got all the parts to my basses, and I'm going to assemble it like the fucking Infinity Gauntlet. And yeah, and we can catch all of us at Dissonant Waves, that's bass, and at Dissonant Waves on Twitter.
And you can catch me at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I also sometimes write things for tiltingwindmillstudios.com. I also write other stuff and do other stuff. Maybe you'll hear about it one day. We'll see. Who knows?
I think that's it.
Yeah, go follow us on Twitter and like our shit. And please like, rate, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all that stuff. Press that bell. Get that notification. Do the thing. YouTube jargon. Keep